Welcome to the fascinating world of the cell. Today, we are going to explore one of the most incredible structures inside your body, known as the endoplasmic reticulum. Imagine walking into a massive, bustling manufacturing plant located right in the center of a busy city, where different departments work in perfect harmony to build, package, and ship essential products. This exact scenario is happening right now inside almost every single cell in your body. By the end of this lesson, you will understand exactly how this microscopic factory operates, how it is structured, and why your very life depends on its continuous operation. Let us dive in. Now that we have our factory analogy in mind, let us look closer at what this means for the cell. The endoplasmic reticulum is not just a static shape, it is a dynamic, highly organized workspace. Just like a real-world manufacturing plant, it has specific zones dedicated to different tasks. Some areas are packed with workers assembling complex machinery, while other areas are highly automated, focusing on producing oils and cleaning up toxic waste. This division of labor is crucial because a cell must produce a massive volume of materials to keep you alive. Without this dedicated factory space, the cell would simply not be able to sustain the complex chemical reactions required for life. Building on that idea of a central factory, let us break down its scientific name to understand exactly where it is and what it looks like. The word endo means inside. Plasmic refers to the cytoplasm of the cell, and reticulum is a Latin word meaning a little net or network. So it is literally an internal cytoplasmic network. This extensive, continuous membrane network is made up of flattened, interconnected sacs called cisternae, along with branching tubules. Crucially, it physically connects directly to the outer membrane of the cell nucleus. This means our factory sits right next to the cell command center, allowing it to receive genetic blueprints immediately and start manufacturing without any delay. Since this factory sits right next to the nucleus, biologists divide it into two distinct regions based on their appearance and function. First, we have the rough endoplasmic reticulum. It gets its name because it is studded with tiny protein-making machines called ribosomes, which give it a bumpy, rough look under a microscope. These ribosomes are the factory workers, assembling proteins. On the other hand, we have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. As the name suggests, it lacks these ribosomes and appears perfectly smooth. Instead of assembling proteins, the smooth ER handles different types of chemical processing. Together, these two regions form a complete, multi-purpose manufacturing complex inside the cell. Before we move on to what these regions actually do, let us see the structure with a concrete visual diagram. On the left side of the image, you can see the spherical nucleus, which is the command center of the cell. Notice how the folded, flattened sacs of the rough endoplasmic reticulum are directly attached to the nuclear envelope. You can clearly see the tiny red dots, which are the ribosomes, covering these sacs. Then, as you move further to the right, the structure transitions into a network of branching tubes. This is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and you will notice it is completely free of ribosomes. This physical connection ensures a seamless workflow from the nucleus to the outer edges of the factory. Now that we have seen what the endoplasmic reticulum looks like, let us understand why it is so critical for your survival. The rough ER is responsible for manufacturing essential proteins. For example, it produces insulin to regulate your blood sugar, and it builds the antibodies that your immune system uses to fight off infections. Meanwhile, the smooth ER is the unsung hero of your liver. It works tirelessly to detoxify harmful chemicals, alcohol, and medications that enter your bloodstream. Furthermore, in your muscle cells, a specialized version of the smooth ER stores calcium ions. The sudden release of these calcium ions is the exact trigger that allows your muscles to contract, enabling you to move, breathe, and even pump blood. Understanding these life-saving functions leads us to an important geometric problem. A cell is incredibly tiny, yet it needs a massive amount of factory floor space to hold all the enzymes and ribosomes required for this manufacturing. If the cell were just a hollow sphere, it would never have enough internal surface area to survive. Nature solves this brilliant puzzle by folding the endoplasmic reticulum membrane into many stacked, flattened discs. This folding strategy drastically increases the available surface area without taking up much extra volume inside the cell. It is a perfect mathematical solution to a biological constraint, allowing the cell to pack an enormous workspace into a microscopic area. This geometric strategy we just discussed can be modeled mathematically. We can represent the rough endoplasmic reticulum as a series of stacked cylindrical discs. The formula for the total surface area is A sub ER equals N times 2 pi R times the quantity R plus H. Let us break down these symbols. A sub ER is the total surface area, or the total factory floor space. N represents the number of flattened sacs in the stack. The variable R is the radius of each circular sac, and H is the height or thickness of that sac. If the cell needs to produce more proteins, it simply increases the number of sacs, N. This directly increases the total surface area without requiring the overall radius of the cell to grow. Now that we have our formula, let us put it into practice with a straightforward numerical example. Suppose we observe a specialized cell with exactly 10 flattened sacs. Each sac has a radius of 500 nanometers and a thickness of 50 nanometers. We want to find the total surface area. First, we plug our given values into the formula. Following the order of operations, we add the radius and height inside the parentheses to get 550. Next, we multiply the radius of 500 by 550, giving us 275,000. Multiplying this by 2 pi and then by the 10 sacs gives us 5,500,000 pi. When we multiply by pi, we find that this tiny structure provides over 17 million square nanometers of functional workspace. Having successfully calculated the area of a simple endoplasmic reticulum, we can now prove mathematically why this folding is an absolute necessity for complex life. We will do this by comparing the internal area of the endoplasmic reticulum to the outer surface area of the cell itself. Imagine a liver cell with an overall radius of 5,000 nanometers. First, we need to calculate the surface area of the cell's outer boundary. We use the standard formula for the surface area of a sphere, which is 4 pi r squared. We square the cell radius of 5,000 to get 25 million. Multiplying this by 4 gives us exactly 100 million pi square nanometers. We will leave pi in the expression to make our final comparison much easier. Now that we have the outer surface area of the cell, let us calculate the internal surface area provided by its endoplasmic reticulum. Inside this same liver cell, suppose the endoplasmic reticulum has 100 sacs, each with a radius of 2,000 nanometers and a height of 50 nanometers. We plug these values into our stacked disk formula. First, we add the radius and height to get 2,050. We multiply this by the radius of 2,000 to get 4,100,000. Multiplying by 2 pi gives us the area of a single sac, which is 8,200,000 pi. Finally, multiplying by the 100 sacs gives us a massive total internal area of 820 million pi square nanometers. With both areas calculated, we reach the final step of our proof. We divide the internal endoplasmic reticulum area by the external cell area to find the surface ratio. We set up the fraction with 820 million pi over 100 million pi. The pi symbols cancel out perfectly, and the zeros simplify, leaving us with a simple division that results in exactly 8.2. This is a profound biological insight. It mathematically proves that the internal factory floor of the endoplasmic reticulum is over 8 times larger than the entire outer surface of the cell itself. Without this folded structure, the cell could never fit enough workspace inside its boundaries, proving that this geometry is essential for survival. We have covered a lot of ground today, so let us reinforce the most important ideas. First, remember that the endoplasmic reticulum is the ultimate manufacturing and processing center of the cell, operating like a highly organized factory. Second, it is divided into 2 regions. The rough ER, which uses ribosomes to build life-sustaining proteins, and the smooth ER, which detoxifies harmful chemicals and stores essential ions. Finally, we proved mathematically that it uses a brilliant geometric strategy of folded membranes to pack an enormous amount of functional surface area into a microscopic space. Whenever you think of a cell, do not just picture a hollow balloon. Picture this dense, highly efficient factory working constantly to keep you alive. Great job mastering this topic.